All right, guys, we're going to get started. Jeremy Wicks with Rehrig Pacific Company. I'm a national account manager, primarily focusing on the beverage space, so carbonated soft drinks and beer, wine, and spirits, the fun stuff. Today, we're going to talk about a really cool project that I worked on with one of my customers. We're going to start off, I'll do a quick overview of who we are. I'll talk about the partnership with Pepsi at a high level, and then we're going to move into the specific case study that we're going to be talking about. Specifically, we'll talk about what we did, why we did it, and how we did it, and we'll end up by talking about the results of that. So to get started, we're going to talk about this cool project that I got to be a part of, that by the time we were done with it, we found that it equated to eliminating the equivalent of 7,000 football fields worth of trees being cut down every single year just by this one customer. It's 9,000 acres. It's a really, really big number to think about. And on top of the elimination of all of those trees being cut down, it also provided a significant cost savings for this customer. So, quick history of Rehrig. Rehrig was founded in 1913. We are a fourth generation family-owned company. And over the last 110 years, as many of us have experienced, our customers' thoughts and ideas and goals and objectives on sustainability have changed a lot. And we have been there with those customers since day one to help them achieve their sustainability goals, while at the same time to partner and move forward to kind of lead the way in the creation of that circular economy. And when I say from day one all the way back going to 1913, you can see up here one of the first products we created was a wooden battery box. So even back in 1913, we were creating products that allowed our customers and gave them the benefit of using an asset again and again and again. And as we've evolved over time, as you can see, in 1960, we started creating our first plastic products. We get into the 80s, and we're creating these beverage castle crates, which we're going to talk about those today. Moved into rollout carts, many of the trash cans that you take out to your curb, good chance that Rehrig Pacific made those. Plastic pallets. And as we entered the 21st century, we started to integrate technology and material handling solutions into our core products. And this gave a lot of our customers, specifically beverage customers like Pepsi, but also food service customers, this ability to suddenly optimize their delivery routes so that they could now deliver the same amount of product that they were delivering prior, but with less trucks on the road. So it's saving them money and at the same time reducing the emissions. So it's come a long way over the years. We operate out of 8 plants in North America. We also have a vast network of service sites and recycling location. It's this diverse, spread out network that not only provides our customers with cost savings opportunities on freight because of the vast network in our locations and where they're located, but also, again, that helps reduce the emissions that are required to get the products that we make to the customers that need them. When you talk about some of our partners as well, we have a very long history working with Pepsi, and we're going to talk about Pepsi today, specifically one account that we'll dig into. And as you can see, I won't go through all of these, but we have a very long history of creating these reusable, recyclable, sustainable products for our customers. And it's really working with our customers to identify the need and find out how we can help them reach their sustainability goals, but also find these cost savings opportunities, because often there's a lot of sustainability goals and things that people want to achieve in that realm, but it can be hard to do that if there's no cost savings. So our job is to get in there and try to provide the products that they're looking for, the solutions that they need that deliver the value that they're looking for, and help them prove that there is a return on your investment for doing this. So Wis-Pak, that's who we're going to talk about today. Wis-Pak is an independent, so they're a franchise bottler. They were founded in 1969 in Watertown, Wisconsin. They produce a little over 100 million cases of product every year, which makes them the largest independent bottler within the independent Pepsi family. They operate out of 7 production facilities, as you can see on this map, primarily located in the Midwest. They have, with those, they have 35, they call them shareholder locations. Those are locations that those 7 facilities are providing product for. And on top of that, they also have the capability to produce product for people outside of their network. So the case study that we're going to be talking about today really does focus on this entire footprint that you see. So it's the Midwest all the way up towards Canada, all the way down to the Gulf. So it's a really big footprint that they operate out of. And so when we talk about the case study and what it is, I like to look at it as like, what did we do? Why did we do it? How did we do it? And then what were the results? So the what part is kind of easy. You've probably heard of a cost-benefit analysis. We do a lot of cost-benefit analysis for our customers. Like I said earlier, we like to prove that not only do we create these great, long-lasting, sustainable products, but that there's a value in using them, that there's a return on your investment to use those products. And we take a unique approach, so we're going to work with each of our customers individually and make sure that we understand what their challenges are and make sure that we understand how their supply chain works and how their operations work so that we can determine the how, like how are we going to create this and make sure that we're capturing all the data to prove that your investment is going to have the return that you need. So the why. It's important to point out when you look at the why are you doing this in the first place? For Wis-Pak, for the specific example, there wasn't a decision of if they were going to move into a reusable shell because they were already using reusable shells. This was more of a gut check for them to say, hey, we've been in reusable shells for 12 years now. We need to really evaluate it and see if we're still getting the return that we expect on this. Are we still seeing these cost savings that we anticipated we were going to see? So the why was really simple. Just let's go back. Let's just look the reasons we did it in the beginning. Let's make sure that that's still there. And ultimately what they wanted to look at is, we know we have the sustainability play that we wanted to do and that we've been doing for over 10 years now. And we know that we want cost savings. So we're hoping that we can find that sweet area right in the middle where you get the best of both worlds. And that's why we did it. Now, when you get into the how is where it starts to get crazy, because there's a ton of different ways that you can do this. There's a ton of different things that you can look at when you do this. Ultimately, with Wis-Pak, we decided the best way to do this was let's just keep it simple. Let's not overcomplicate things. Let's just really look at kind of some raw data, and let's just let the cards lie where they lie, and that'll be the determining factor. So when I say keep it simple, there's a couple ways that you can do these things. I typically refer to them as you can look at soft costs and you can look at hard costs. Soft costs are still savings opportunities. There's still things that can cost, but they're not just the cost of the product and comparing it. So for the sake of Wis-Pak, then we went through all the soft costs 10 years ago when they determined to move into the reusable shell. So we decided, let's just start off first and look at the hard costs. So I want to cover the soft costs real quick, some of them, just to give you an idea of what those things can be and how they can contribute to that cost benefit at the end of life. So we talk about things, if we talk specific to a beverage shell, in this example, faster merchandising. Any delivery driver out there will tell you, and we've done a lot of time studies ourselves, and we know without a doubt that a driver who is merchandising product out of a reusable shell is going to merchandise that shell about 5 seconds faster than he is if he's using it in corrugate with shrink. And you think 5 seconds, what's that equate to? Well, think about 5 seconds for every single case. It's 100 million cases that these guys are delivering. So the time savings ends up being huge. Time savings equal money. And why is it faster? Well, in a shell, they can just grab it and merchandise it and put it away. When you move into that one way, you've got the shrink, you got to cut it off. Half the time it creates this unstable thing and a bottle might fall out. You got all these different things that happen. Then you also have to take that and put it in the recycling, put it in the trash, whatever it is that you're doing at the end of it. So there's a lot more time and a lot more that goes into it. So the drivers will universally tell you that using this reusable shell is a lot easy. So we would look at a customer and determine what does 5 seconds per case mean to you, and we'd try to work with them to assign a value to that. Less downtime in plant. This can be with the reusable shell, but you can also kind of picture it if you think of a pallet. A plastic pallet has a pretty consistent set spec. And then you get a wooden pallet. And the wooden pallet might be off on the specs a bit. It might have nails popped up. It might have boards that are broken, sticking out a little bit more. And that can easily go through your automation, cause a jam, get jammed up in your machine. And then you have downtime. And then we'd work with the customers to determine, like, what is the cost of your downtime? It's the labor, it's the loss of sales, it's the loss of production. There's a lot of things that can go into that. So those are some of the things that we would work with our customers to determine as well. And then what percentage of your downtime is specific to that one-way product, that wooden pallet or that corrugate tray. We can also help reduce injuries. I listened to a panel discussion earlier where they talked about reusable products typically are associated with less injuries. It could be something as simple as a nail popped up or a splinter that scraped somebody's arm. It could be a broken board that leads to an entire pallet falling over and landing on a person. There's a lot of things that can happen. And aside from the terrible of a person getting hurt, there's also going to be cost to the company that are associated with those injuries and the workers' comp claims. With that, it ties right into reduced product damage. If you have product that falls over, you're going to lose product. If you have a PET bottle that gets punctured with a nail on the route, they're going to not only lose that bottle, typically they're going to lose the entire case. And then there's the positive side of it too that we can look at is if you have a reusable asset, at some point it's going to reach end of life, whether because you used it for 10, 12, 15, 20 years and it just reaches end of life, or maybe there's this rogue forklift accident that breaks your pallet and causes it to no longer be able to be used in the system. Well, our customers can take those products, ship them back to us. We can grind them up, and not only can we reuse them to make another product later, but we're going to give the customers credit for that material. So it's a win-win for everybody. So the soft costs, we could go on and on. There's a lot of these things, but it's important to note that we do this. But for this project, and what I think makes this project even more important and even more really deliver the benefits of being in a reusable shell is that we didn't even touch those things. We decided to just look at the hard costs. And so when we say hard costs for this project specifically, it was really simple. We went through and we said last year and the last few years on average, you buy this many reusable shells from us every single year, and here's the price. So this is what you guys spend buying reusable shells from us. And then so we got to step out of this part of it, which makes it even better. They said, okay, if we took all of the product that we shipped in a reusable shell, but instead put it in a one-way package, this is how much it would cost us. And it's a lot more required because they were turning, we used 6.5 turns of that reusable shell every single year. We went low. They have some that they'll turn 12 times a year, some that'll turn a little bit less depending, so we just went with the low average of 6.5 turns a year. And then we looked at what's the freight cost to move the shells. There is a little extra cost that can be associated with being in a reusable beverage shell because when you have 7 plants, you might find that you're a little low on 20 ounce and you need to move it to another plant. So we let them add, this is what we spent on freight last year, just moving product from. And then we also looked at, there is some miscellaneous, sometimes there's handling and sorting and things that have to be done when shells come back. You get a bunch of 2-liter shells, 1-liter shells, 20-ounce shells. If they're not all perfectly aligned, they've got to separate them out before they can run. So we let them add those costs to the cost of the reusable product. And so that's the how that we got there. And really the cool thing is at the end of the day, we just said, what does it cost? What does it cost? Right now you spend this much, and if you didn't do that and you'd put it all in that one-way package, what would it cost then? And the results were amazing because remember, this is every year, this is annual. And they found that they're saving $3.4 million every single year by using a reusable shell versus one-way packaging. And what contributes to that is a lot of things. It's how long you're able to use the product, how many turns you can get is a huge thing, what is your damage rate on those products. But then the other thing that this customer does exceptionally well, better than a lot of others I've seen too, is that it's important to them. Their drivers know that it's important to them. Their drivers know that when they look at a pallet that they're getting ready to take out, a rough estimate of how much dollars are sitting on there that need to come back, because they need to get those reusable shells back. So they understand it. So it's communicated and it's very important. So they're not just looking at it at this asset that's sustainable, that's recyclable, that's reusable, but they're looking at it as, hey, this is a cost as well. And for us to get the benefit of this cost, we really need everybody on board and understanding that we have to get these things back and reuse them and flip them as much as possible. So $3.4 million in savings. Which goes right back to what we were talking about, the sustainability side. It's mind-blowing to me, and I checked the math many times, but it's 7,000 football fields, again, worth of trees that are not getting cut down every single year based off of this one business decision that they made. So I'm going to leave a lot of time for questions. So Q&A, questions for me. How do they return the product back to the manufacturer? Are you talking like the delivery driver who's delivering it? That's really the front line, and the best thing is that's the kind of the communication to the drivers of the importance of getting it back. So it's really ultimately the driver's responsibility to either bring it back after they merchandise it that day, or if they're leaving back stock in the back, they have to make sure that they're checking it, and when they come the next week or 2 days later that they're grabbing it and returning it then. You've probably all at some point cruised behind a grocery store or a C-store or something, and you see the stacks of plastic pallets and the stacks of plastic shells. That's what they don't want to happen. They don't want it to get that big because it creates opportunity for theft and other things like that. But even when that does happen, they have to have drivers understanding the importance of still getting back there and getting them back.
cleanliness and sanitation. Can you explain that, as those in the beverage business understand those get very dirty, and what is the process and how is that factored into what you've done and learned from?
Yeah, so the sorting costs that we added in the cost benefit analysis included cleaning. When they come in, best case scenario, it's just a visual inspection of these are good and they're just separating them by size. But there are times that they have to be cleaned, and each company is going to have a different process for how they do that, whether they have automation and machines that are cleaning them, whether it's a hand cleaning process. But that is something that we assigned a cost to, and they assigned on average, we have this much labor that is directly resulting in the sorting and the cleaning and everything. And we put that burden on the cost of the reusable shelf for the year.